everybody. It's time for another episode of the Green Chevelle build series. So in this episode, we're going to be going over reinstalling the fuel cell with the new sending unit and the return unit, as well as reinstalling the rear end that we just recently got back. So on the rear end, what we did is we converted the rear end gear to a taller rear gear. It used to have a 373 in it, which was good for the automatic that we used to have because it was a 700 R4. However, when we converted over to the 4-speed that the car has now, and with the shorter tires that are on it that mimic more of what the factory had, it just proved to be too short of a gear. So it was causing the car to have really high RPM just to try and even go 60 cruising down the road. So what we've decided to do is put a taller gear in it. Now it's got a 330 series gear, so we think that's going to be enough to calm it down. This way it's a little bit more enjoyable to drive without it blowing your eardrums out every time you're trying to drive everywhere. So we're going to go ahead and put that rear end in first, and then the next thing that we'll be doing is going over installing the sending unit with the new fuel pump and the return unit, as well as the fuel level sensor that comes for the aftermarket gas tank. And then once the fuel cell is back in the car, then the next step of this episode is going to be pressure washing the engine compartment. It's got a lot of road grime in it, a lot of dirt. We just want to get it cleaned out. This way everything just looks good when the motor goes back in. And we're going to be cleaning up a little bit of a rust patch that's on the frame rail. We had a leak in the booster for the power brakes, and all that brake fluid got on the frame rail, and it caused a little bit of rust. Not anything too horrible. It just needs to be scuffed off and repainted, and we think everything will be good. So that's what we're going to be covering in this episode.
So a little backstory on the car. Originally, we had a 373 ring gear in the car, and it worked really good for the larger rear tires that we had on the car. And it also at one time had a 700 R4 transmission in the car, which enabled it to work really well having a 373 gear. However, when we switched over to the 4-speed a couple years ago, we were already starting to notice that without the overdrive gear in the transmission, the RPM was kind of creeping up a little on the high side. But then when I decided to put the skinnier wheels and tires that were also shorter to mimic what these cars came with from the factory, it made that RPM problem even worse. So we decided to pull the rear end out, take it to my dad's friend, Robert, and he changed out the ring and the pinion for us and changed it over to a 331 rear gear. We believe that with this change alone, it should be able to calm the RPM down enough to make the car easier to drive. So this video is just showing the process that my dad and I went through when we were putting the rear end back in the car for the final time after we got it back from Robert's shop. All right, so before we begin to work on the gas tank, I just kind of wanted to give you guys an overview of what was actually different between this gas tank and the one that we had before. So if you've seen the earlier videos, you'd see how my dad and I actually had to make a standard gas tank for a carburetor actually work for the electronic fuel injection that's on this 502. 20 years ago, when we originally restored this car, there was no such thing as an EFI fuel tank for 60s and 70s muscle cars. So we had to make one work. Well, fast forward to today, now there is actually options for that because of the resto mod market taking off in popularity, which has caused a surge of interest in putting EFI on these older muscle cars. So what they've actually done is they've integrated the sending unit as well as a separate one for the return. So if you look closely, this hole here that's on the left side is just for the fuel level meter, which is over here, and you can see
it's a completely different unit from what they had back in the 60s. So it does take a little bit of setting up. This is actually too tall for this gas tank. It doesn't go all the way down, and you have to set the length of the float. It's not on here, it's actually over here, but you have to cut that wand down for the float to fit within the tank, because they make this generic as well as the sending unit generic, so it fits a multitude of different tanks that they have. But all you have to do is loosen these two screws here, and then you can contract these two sliders, and then it will fit whatever depth tank you have. And then when you put the floater in, all you got to do is just cut the excess off so that when the ball goes up and down, it actually goes the full height of the fuel cell. This way you get an accurate fuel reading. And then of course it has the ground for it, so it works with the gas tank really well. And they give you the gaskets and as well as the breather for the fuel tank. Now for the fuel pump itself, what we had to do was match what GM wanted for fuel flow specs for the motor to a variety of different fuel pumps that are offered. But on the top here, you can see it's got a fitting for the breather in the middle, the sending portion for the fuel, and the return fuel line. And then it's got these two compression fittings for the positive and the ground for the fuel pump. So it's definitely way cleaner than anything that we could cobble together. And then you just have to attach the fuel pump to these hoses. One's for the return, the other one's for the sending unit portion of it. But the fuel pump is provided by the same companies that make the tanks, and they have a wide variety of fuel pumps that can serve over 600 cubic inches in displacement. They've got all different kinds of specialty ones. They've even got ones that are designed for road racing. So if you were to turn your car into a track car for doing road racing, IMSA or anything like that, they have a fuel pump that can meet your needs there. And it comes with Deutsch connectors that are really good. The wiring seems to be pretty high quality. Fuel filter and any other parts and hardware, and the destruction manuals so that you can put everything together. So the only other thing that you kind of have to put together is the neck. They don't actually put the neck on the fuel tank. So you have to, when you specify what car you have, they give you the neck, and then you have to put the rubber sleeve on that end and on this end, and then it fits your application. This tank fits a multitude of different vehicles, and you can even see the cutout down here where my foot is for El Caminos and station wagons, because those are side entry. The sedans and the sport coupes like the Malibus and the SS396s are all rear fill on the fuel cell, so they don't know what you got. So they kind of make the tank generic, and then you just kind of make it work for the car. Not a big deal. I'm not trying to score points at this thing and get it Bloomington Gold certified. It's not that type of car. I'm just looking to have a really nice cruise vehicle. I'm not really looking to earn points for it. I'm not trying to make it a perfect restoration. I mean, you can even tell it's not perfect because it's a Malibu with a black trunk panel, which only came on SS396 cars. So this car is far from a perfect restoration if you were trying to make it accurate to that car. All right, so as you can see here on this frame rail, this is what I was talking about in the previous video, where the master cylinder had leaked backward and caused the frame on the driver's side to rust. So I did a little test area just to test out a wire wheel that we had, but I'm going to be showing this in time-lapse photography since it takes quite a bit of time to go through. But I just wanted to show you this way you can get an idea of what we're working on here.
So a while back we had a problem with the master cylinder leaking, and it leaked backward into the brake booster, which caused the bladder inside the booster to go bad, so the power brakes didn't work at all. So it leaked onto the frame rail and caused the paint to completely flake off. So I'm showing you here using a wire wheel to clean up all the surface rust, hit it with some rust reformer paint, and then hit it with some black satin paint. This way it'll cover up all the issues and clean it right up.
All right, gang. Well, that takes care of it for this episode. Next week, we'll be covering a lot more topics for what we've been working on for this car. We've been working on it at a breakneck speed, so the next episode's going to have a lot of different things that we've been working on. My dad's been helping me on it. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next episode.